Well, hello my friends, it's Catherine from CatherinePuller.com. I'm going to use the Fluttering Friends stamp set in this card video, and I'm going to make a bunch of cards. I've really been enjoying all the little bits and pieces. Here's a look at two cards that I've previously made, but we're going to use the same techniques that we used on these cards on the cards in this video. So the first thing I'm going to do is stamp out some birds. So I have a little strip of watercolor cardstock here, and I'm just stamping them in Midnight ink. Our Midnight is archival. It's a deep, nice black. It's Copic safe. It's watercoloring safe, so you can watercolor with it and it won't bleed. One thing to note with our black ink though, it does stain your stamps. And it is a squishy pad. So just be careful when you're inking, just a really light tap on the ink pad to get a fully inked stamp. You don't have to work hard at all. And if you push too hard, your stamp will sink down into that pad and ink will get into your little nooks and crannies. So just love tap, little light tap, and you're good to go. So you can see I'm using a blender pen. I absolutely love this tool. We do sell them in the shop, and I like to have quite a few on hand at any given moment. It's basically a clear marker, so you can pick up color directly from your ink pad. Some people don't like to do that though because they worry that it might contaminate their ink pad. You can squish your acrylic block onto the ink pad to get some ink on the block and then pick it up with the blender pen. Or if you have an inky lid, you can just pick the ink up straight from the lid and then go to your image to color. So I'm using Tutti, Frutti, and Be Mine ink on this bird, and the other one I used Fiesta Blue and Lime Rickey. So with the watercolor paper, you don't have to worry too much about adding too much water. If I had done these stamped images on regular white cardstock, you have to work a little bit faster. You can't go over your area too many times because you don't want to get it too wet because your paper will start to pill. That's true with any regular cardstock. So if you want a little bit more forgiving paper and you want to be able to go over it multiple times, more than once, and you don't want your paper to pill, watercolor cardstock is a great option for this. So I have a couple birds ready, and we're going to move on to the next part. Ink pads. The foam ink pads transfer ink really well, so you see how easy it was to use direct to paper to color my cardstock Tutti Frutti. So now I have a piece of Tutti Frutti cardstock. I took my nested labels dies and I cut two sizes out at once, and I get this little frame. And then I cut out the largest one out of regular white cardstock and out of a piece of acetate. So these are the two basic pieces that you need for a shaker card. I took my dimensional adhesive. I have a long, big roll of it, and it's kind of wide, so I like to cut mine down long ways so that it's not as wide, and then I can just put it around and make sure there are no gaps in the dimensional adhesive because you don't want your sequins to run loose. So I took my Crater Lake sequins, just poured them in there, and now I have this cute little shaker piece. I'm going to add one of my birds. I'm using the green and blue because it's a great contrast with that orange Tutti Frutti color. And then I die cut the word sweet from our sweet die. This is a hand lettered sentiment by Shauna Klingerman. And I'm just going to add these onto that little shaker card. Isn't this adorable? So fun. With a fun focal point like this, you don't really need a whole lot more stuff going on your card. So I just put a simple sentiment, hello sweet friend, and some adhesive on the back, and then I'll adhere this to a card front and I'll be all set. There is card one. Card two. So I took this sentiment, you've been on my mind, and I decided to just stamp it a bunch of times. I'm trying to be as straight as I can. I'm using our clear acrylic blocks. We have these manufactured specially for us, so you won't find this design anywhere else. But I just stamped it a bunch of times, and because we have that grid on there, it's easy to line up. And then I was kind of cracking up because you've been on my mind, you've been on my mind, you've been on my mind. Does that start to sound a little stalkerish? I'm sure the person that I give this card to won't feel that way, but it was cracking me up when I was stamping that. So I'm going to do a few leaves and some fun kind of not really traditional colors for leaves. I'm using All That Jazz, and I gave a light color wash over the whole leaf, and then I'm going back in and doing the kind of stripy bits on it, darker, and then I'm just going over it a little more just to even out that color and get a nice ink blend on there. And look at how cute this is with the bird. Oh my goodness, so adorable. I ended up doing a second one with Lime Rickey. And then I took our black tie Gala cardstock. The stripe is one of my favorite prints from that pattern pack. And I just took and put a horizontal piece on there. It's probably 4 1/4 by 4 1/4-ish. And I like how it kind of extends out from either side of that sentiment piece. And then I'll just layer the bird and the leaves on top. And I'm grabbing my Crater Lake sequins, and my quick stick tool is a really handy dandy little thing to help me get those sequins on there. And I am smitten with this card. I adore it. Next card. This one's pretty sweet too. I'm using this little cluster. Some of my friends have been calling it grapes. I think we kind of meant it to be blackberries, but guess what? It's whatever you want it to be. If you want it to be a cluster of grapes, then it's a cluster of grapes. I'm doing blackberries. So I just stamped them randomly all over my piece of cardstock. And you'll notice on the edges, I stamped off. So then it gives an overall balanced feel to the finished card. And it also feels like a piece of printed paper that I just cut down. I'm using my blender pen to color in with Queen for a Day. This is one of our brand new colors from our Spa ink collection. It is the first 4 colors in the Urban Oasis color line. So these are Spa colors. They're muted, sophisticated shades, and they were all chosen to coordinate together. So you have great color choices for your card making. So the next step for this card, we are going to make another shaker card, but this is going to be a little bit differently put together. So I have a frame, and I did some ink blending with my Picket Fence life-changing brush with the Queen for a Day ink, and just colored it. So 2 different ways to color your cardstock, either by direct to paper or with your ink blending tool. Then I took that frame and I laid it on my card front where I am going to put the shaker element, and I just did a light pen mark in each corner so that I can tell where it'll be a guideline for where I'm going to put my sequins. So I dumped out a bunch of those Crater Lake sequins right in the center, and then I have the Miami sequin mix, and I'm pulling out these really fun darker purple discs. They have ridges, and they're textured, and they're just really cool, and it's going to add a fun little pop of purple in this shaker card. I have the window bit for the shaker element ready to go, and this one I did a little different as far as the dimensional adhesive on here. I did 2 layers, so I took 1 layer all the way around, and then I did another layer so that that shaker piece sits higher, and the shaker bits, the sequins inside, are more free to move around and shake about. So that's fun. And then I added the Sweet Friend and one of the little blackberries I just die cut colored in, and I'm going to use some 2-way glue to add on there, and then just a sprinkling of glass slipper glitter to give it some sparkle and shine, and we're all done with card number 2. So the next one, we're doing a background of leaves, and I'm stamping them again in Midnight Black ink, and I'm doing both of the leaves from the Fluttering Friends stamp set, and I'm just changing the direction of each one so they look random, stamping off the page again to look random, and then I'm going to color them in. So I'm using all Spa colors for this one. I'm using ones that go together. So the Lemongrass and Green Tea are very similar colors, just different shades. So they're blue, or they're yellow greens. So I'm doing the light lemongrass over the top, and then going in with the little darker green tea and doing the stripy lines on there. The next set of colors, I'm using Sage Green, which is another one of our brand new colors, and Eucalyptus. So I'm doing the light color over the entire leaf, and then Eucalyptus on the stripes. This is regular white cardstock, so I am working pretty quickly. I'm trying not to go over too many times, just a quick coloring in there, because like I said earlier in the video, if you go over it too many times, you're gonna end up pilling your paper. It'll just get too wet and it won't be able to handle all that water and it starts pilling up. Next up, we're using Skylight, which is, oh my goodness, this gorgeous blue, kind of a light teal color, and Daydream, which is the same kind of color family, just darker, and doing the same thing, the light color wash and then the stripies over the top. My last color combination is Rose Petals and Rouge. So Rouge is another one of our new colors, I think. Let's see, the only one I didn't use on this card is Queen for a Day, our gorgeous royal purple. So we got all the other ones in. So Rouge and Rose Petals, same thing as the other colors that I've already done. So here's a look at all of the colors used on this card. These are all spa colors, so you can see the muted tones of them. Oh, it's just such a gorgeous color palette. And here's the card all finished off with the wonderful die cut out of chocolate cardstock and then Sweet Friend added below it with white embossed on chocolate cardstock. I added a few gold sequins from our Vegas Baby sequin mix. And then here is a look at the rest of the cards. So the Blackberry Shaker card with Sweet Friend. The You've Been on My Mind with the black tie gala cardstock and the fun, bright party colors. And then the Sweet Hello Sweet Friend shaker card. So you can see whether you use the spa colors or the party colors on these cards. Oh yeah, and here's this one with Fiesta Blue, Flirty, Fuchsia, and Lime Rickey. So whether you use party colors or spa colors, this stamp set is really fun, really versatile, and you're gonna have a blast with it. Thanks for being here. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe and come back for more videos. And thanks for hanging out. Have an awesome day.